Gabriel Lozano is the Director of Grants for Laredo College. We're going to talk about the role that grants play here at LC. Mr. Lozano, thank you very much for being here.
Thank you, Ruben.
So tell us first about yourself.
I got into grants. It's been 27 years. I started with the city of Laredo and started as an accountant and eventually learned all the aspects of grants, the whole process. I worked at the Laredo Police Department for 12 years, handled all their grants, their budgets, all the financial accounting. And I've been here at Laredo College in the grants department for 14 years now.
Yeah. So when you said the police department, I said I don't need to call you Officer Lozano. Right?
No,
Okay.
I was a civilian. Never
Right.
became an officer. So.
You know, I think many people who work with a nonprofit or at a nonprofit or are familiar with a nonprofit know what a grant is. But for those who don't even know what a grant is and why Laredo College has a grants department, tell us.
Okay, so the main thing is to our main goal, right? Our grants department is to augment our programs. You know, as you're aware, Ruben, we have over 100 programs here at Laredo College, both academic and workforce. So our daunting task on a daily basis is to try to find resources to improve our programs, maybe add things that our budget can't manage. One of the major things that we do try to go after is equipment. But we also try to get scholarships and other things that can help, bolster the quality of education that our students that attend here at Laredo College can obtain.
In essence, grants, that's money, correct?
Yes.
So you're tasked with getting money to augment the programs that we have.
Exactly.
Yeah. Now, how do you do that?
Okay, so basically, there's three types of grants. There's government grants, which are local entities, state grants, state of Texas, right? And then there's federal grants. There's also corporate grants. Big time corporations, they usually have foundations and they give away, not give away, but they have competitions and they have resources that they give to, like you mentioned, nonprofits. We actually have a nonprofit associated with the college.
Oh.
It's called the Laredo College Education Foundation.
Okay.
So through that nonprofit, there's also grants that we go after because some of them require that designation of, it's a IRS designation. It's called a 501c3. And that means that you are a nonprofit entity, and our nonprofit entity associated with the college is the LC Education Foundation. So we do a lot of grants through them. And then the other ones that we can qualify for as a college, we go through. There's thousands of resources, right?
Yeah.
But we do our best to try to do as many as we can. For example, this past fiscal year, we just did a presentation to the board a couple of weeks ago, and we did 30 grants in a 12-month period, and the total amount of those grants was over $30 million.
Wow.
So, now, not all of them are successful, but we do our best, right? And we try to align, one of the main things that we do try to do is align the college's strategic plan to what the work that we do. And what that means is to address the needs, right, of the college, and to make sure that we try to spread out the money that we ask for to the different areas. Our grants can be workforce grants. We've done grants for the truck driving program, for example. The diesel mechanic program, we have obtained actually a couple grants for them. And with those grants, for example, what those grants were from, where that grant was from, was the Texas Workforce Commission, and that grant was for actually the tire tractor, right? And they get to, for example, that's a training tractor, right? So they they take it apart, put it back together, brakes, electronics.
Wow.
So that grant, I mean, we've gotten them a couple of grants. That grant, the most recent one for the diesel mechanic, was about $350,000. So we were able to buy a.
So to be clear, you say $30 million, but that's not $30 million cash in hand. You've got to specify, okay, the money's going to go toward this tractor so that our department that program can teach mechanics.
Exactly.
Every grant has specific purposes, right? So
Exactly.
most of it is an equipment.
Exactly. Sometimes, now let me give you another example. We just submitted a grant in the amount of about $12 million 2 weeks ago. Another thing I wanted to touch on is collaborations and partnerships. We collaborated with Webb County, with the South, not the South Texas Food Bank, with a nonprofit called Azteca, another nonprofit called the EHP Salud. Anyway, so
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
yeah, so the grants don't just, sometimes they're not just for the college. We have to collaborate with the community because we're trying to, and that's a very important thing sometimes, because we're trying to do two things: create a bigger impact, because our service area is all of Webb County. So whenever we can collaborate with the county, with the city, with whoever, even the nonprofits, because that makes a stronger application, right? It shows and that grant was for improving what is called digital equity. So that grant will help to improve internet capacity for what are called covered populations, which means people in poverty, people that don't have internet. It's basically funds from the government to get people that don't have internet or access to the internet. But also the other factor is to improve the quality of life of our citizens, because somebody that has access to the internet and can tap into those resources. What I mean is online.
Sure.
Well, health. You can do online health. You can do online.
It's not a luxury.
Educational.
Anymore.
Exactly.
Internet access is not a luxury anymore. We're talking to Gabriel Lozano. He's the director of grants for Laredo College. You talked about aligning with the strategic plan for Laredo College. At the core of everything that we do, the reason I'm here, the reason you're here, we're here for the students. And so ultimately, all of these grants really benefit our students, correct?
Yes, sir.
And the community when you do collaborations.
Yes, sir.
Do you go into a grant, requesting a grant, knowing what your odds are, or is it just rolling the dice and hopefully based on your hard work and all the details you're able to get it?
I'm a numbers guy, so I'm trying to, I don't just apply just for the sake of applying. I try to
because that wastes time.
Maximize our efforts, right?
Sure.
So to make sure, one of the things we do pre-grant, pre-submission is we have a pretty lengthy approval process. So we meet with the department that it's going to benefit, and we make sure that they have everything in line and that it's truly going to be a good resource for them. And then, we do that research and we submit, and anybody that knows about grants knows that there's not a structured timeline. There's been, just last week we submitted 2 in one day, so, and sometimes the deadlines are on the, bunch into the same time. So it's a real challenge sometimes with the planning and a lot of late nights, but it's worth it because it's a tangible way to show the impact that you made through your work. So that's one thing that I really like about it, because it's not about, it's about the money, right? But like they say, how the saying goes. Yeah. But in a way it is, because that's our way of showing our impact, right, to the college. And this many students benefited, this many scholarships got awarded, this equipment got purchased. And we have, another thing I wanted to touch on real fast is we have a lot of big federal grants. And they do a lot of good work, and I know a lot of people don't know about them, but I just wanted to mention we have a grant called Upward Bound, which is a federal grant, and it helps disadvantaged students. It actually recruits them through high school. And I was going to recommend you to do some interviews with them maybe in the near future, so you can spread the word. Student services. We have a Title V grant called LEAD, and then we have a Title III grant called LEAPS, which is STEM based. Yeah.
And if you're on Laredo College social media, you've seen flyers about all of those organizations.
Yeah. So, the grants part, that the preparation, delivery is our part, but another aspect of it is the people that are like the boots on the ground running these big million, they're millions of dollars, these grants, and they go over 5 years usually. And we try to sometimes through the smaller grants is to help them out too, so they can buy the things for the students that maybe the grant doesn't allow. They have a lot of summer camps and weekend things, and so it's a lot of things at once that we try.
It's a very broad,
It is.
It's a very broad thing, grants, because you've talked about several already, and they all do different things. Mr. Lozano, is there? So most of our guests, we've got a number for them to call, an email, because maybe it's a program that they want to be in, or a degree. Can the community help out with grants at all, or how can the community get involved, or is this just Mr. Lozano and Mr. Lozano and his team?
And one confusion is, and it's hard to distinguish this, right? But one thing that a lot of calls that I get are from students actually, and they confuse the term grants with student grants, right?
Okay.
But we always
tell us the difference real quick.
Well, a student grant is something that's financial aid based, coming from the school,
right,
or the government to help them pay for the cost of their education, right? And our grants are for the college in general, right? So that's one thing. But we always try to guide them to the right, the right number if they call us, because it's the same term, right? And a lot of people, if you say grants, they're thinking financial aid, right? A lot of people don't know, but there's no other way to say it, right? So there's
not an alternate name.
There's not so.
So really, the community, if they know of a grant, they could contact you.
Definitely. And another thing too that we do is we try to reach out to at least all our departments, to let them know that, hey, if you hear about a grant, let us know. Send us an email, call us, whatever. Reach out to us, and we can do a little bit of research on it and see, hey, it's something that would be feasible. Something that you can handle.
So for our Laredo College folks alone, maybe they didn't even know we have a director of grants. I'm sure they did, because you've been here quite a while. But if you didn't know that Mr. Lozano could help you out, give him a call. We'll put his number and his email on here, so people can check it out. Final question: how does somebody make a career out of grant? Like, if somebody wants to go into this,
usually,
how do you do that?
Yeah, usually it's what they call what's the term? I'm trying to think of the term employment wise. It's other duties as assigned.
Okay.
So that's how people usually get into that. They assign
But can you
it to
go
them.
into college specifically wanting to do grants, or not really?
I think there are some schools that do have degrees in grant writing.
Because it sounds very rewarding.
Yes.
You get to see the fruits of your labor.
Yes. I do have me personally, I have some certifications that I've gotten professionally, right? And those were intensive classes, right? But, I have actually fielded that question, people calling me just from the community. You would think that people asking me about grant writing, and I'm open. I get excited because it's traditionally not known as something that's very exciting. People don't like to really, because it can be very
a lot of work,
very lethargic, very and unless you like to write, you might not like it. It might be a little bit boring, but there's some narratives that you know about writing, Ruben. Some narratives are over 100 pages.
Wow.
Just for that project.
Well, moral of the story: you can do grant writing if you like, right? That could be a career if you want. And I think
budgets,
the culture changes. I mean, maybe this generation, they love helping people. So if they like to write, if they like numbers, they could consider grant writing. And maybe in the bigger cities, I'm going to guess it's easier to get a grant writing job.
Probably.
So just something to consider. Mr. Lozano, anything else you want to finish with?
No, just if anybody has, anybody that sees this interview, that if they have any questions about grants, our office, our phones are.
Give us your phone number. We'll put it on the screen. Anyway.
Our phone number is 956-721-5199.
Okay.
And in our department, it's myself and Mr. Francisco Reyes, who's a grant writer. So it's the two of us, but one of us will answer any questions and help.
Is there a specific email, or would it be your email?
Be my email or Francisco's. Mine is Gabriel.Lozano at laredo.edu. And
Okay.
any questions from the community, I'll be more than happy to help out or answer them and help them out if
Sounds good.
they want some guidance on grants.
Mr. Lozano, thanks for what you
Thank
do for the
Ruben.
college. We
Thank you.
appreciate you.
Appreciate it.